Hey, if you don't have these, you need to get them. They're going to save you time. Stick around. We're going to get to it. Tank, what's all this noise over? Shh. Do we not like Diet Coke? Is Diet Coke the devil? Are you sure? Hey, hush. So we don't like Diet Coke? Okay, apparently Diet Coke's the devil, y'all. Alright, well, hello everybody. We're back again, doing another video here. How's everybody been doing? Tank's back. He's doing great. Anyway, so we got Tank back on the truck. We're moving. We're here on a reset here out in, where are we at? Bennett, Colorado. So by the time you see this, we'll be heading back east. Anyway, so I wanted to sit and I wanted to talk a minute about some of the ideas for different types of tools that I carry on my truck. Now, this isn't every single tool I have. This is just some ideas of what I carry to be able to mend things as they break. And typically, if it's outside of the range of things that I have on my truck, with the level of knowledge I have, it's going to end up going back home and going to the shop if I can't fix it with the tools I have at home. Or it's going to end up being a road call because I don't have the means to fix it with the tools that I do have. So let's start off with, I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. I'm not sponsored by any of these tools or tool brands. This is just a general idea of things that I carry on the truck that make my day-to-day life easier when things break. So that way I can get back on the road, have less downtime, and I can fix these things with the parts that I carry with me, which that's a different video we'll talk about later on. So, first of all, let's start with the fact I don't carry a 3/8 inch set on my truck or a 1/4 inch set. And the reason being why is, and I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but I found that at least for me this is what works. I carry the gear wrench, ratcheting wrench sets, and things of that nature. Let's see if we can get this to focus here. And I've got them all the way from an 8mm, which is this one, to a big 24mm. So I use these all the time on all kinds of different things. They got the ratcheting end on one end. They've got other ones that, you know, they swivel back and forth, or they're off canter one way or the other. But I've found these to be very reliable. I've had these for, God, almost 5 years now, and I've gotten tons of use out of them, and I've yet to break one. And back when I was working on big stuff all the time, I was constantly going through wrenches. And I carry those because the profile on them is really, really nice, and I can get them into some tighter places where, you know, I wouldn't always be able to get a ratchet in because of the profile of the ratchet with the socket on it. So, and on the other note, I carry line wrenches, both standard and metric, both. And you always want to have, and they're double-ended, so one side's like this one here. One side is a 5/8 and one side's an 11/16, and this one side's a 19 and one side's a 22. So I can cut down on space because I've got 2 line wrenches per wrench, and I've also got them in all of their smallest sizes working up to their biggest sizes also. You want to have the whole set. And I've only used those a handful of times for replacing different lines. Last time I used those, I was doing a power steering line. And these just didn't have the nuts to grab onto them, whereas these, they go on the line and then seat on the nut, so that way you get a better bite on them. And that's how those work. Whereas these are more open on the end. Yeah, they're a little bit of a nuisance sometimes, but it is what it is. They're very useful, very specific tools, and they don't get used very often, but they're there for the times when I do need them and I have to get a fitting that is around a line off. Everybody should have a set of channel locks. I mean, these are just your basic channel locks. There's nothing fancy about them. I picked these up in the truck stop because I was an idiot and didn't have them, and I needed a pair of channel locks. And those have multiple purposes you can figure out, and I mean, you can just put them into one. Now, these are wonderful. Everybody should have a pair of side cuts. They have many, many uses. You can cut baling wire with them, cut your seals with them if they're small enough, things of that nature. You always want to have a set of side cuts. Then, screwdrivers. You want flatheads and Phillips. You want long and short, because you never know what you're going to get into. These are just nothing special. They're just, generic wrenches. I don't know what is up with me today. Generic screwdrivers. I think my wife got these for me one year for Christmas, and I've worked on using them for all kinds of different things. And I love the stubbies. The stubbies are awesome, because you always have that one frickin' screw that's right down there, and you can't get nothing into it because it's too freaking long, and you can't get no leverage on it because you're trying to do it with screwdrivers that are this size. Okay? Have a couple different links. Alright? Then we got one of my favorite tools, pry bars. Like I said, these aren't the nicest set in the world because, you know what, I'm going to abuse them and break them. And make sure you get the ones that have the stuff on the end of them where you can smack them on a hammer in case you got to get underneath something to pry it up. Like when they put the wood blocks on your floor and they nail them all the way through, and you got, this long of a freaking nail going through a 2x4. It's ridiculous. But yeah, make sure you get good quality ones, and maybe not buy the cheapest ones like I did, because these little metal pins that you beat on, they don't always last forever. But, I've had that set for, 8 years now, I think. So, alright. So, now we're going to get into some bigger stuff. This one is probably one of my favorite tools. My dad gave me this one back when I was turning wrenches, when I started taking over and doing it. And, this is a 1/2-inch drive ratchet. I mean, yeah, it's kind of a fancy one. It's a Matco ratchet, but you know what? Dad gave it to me. I'm going to use it, And I love this ratchet. It's just great. It's long. It's got tons of leverage. And you know what? There's not been many things I can't use a 1/2-inch ratchet on. But this a 1/2-inch ratchet's typically going to be like on your bigger stuff, You're not going to be putting it in small places. It's going to be a bolt that's really tight, heavy, hard to get onto, or hard to get any leverage on, so that's when you would use that, or just, it's a big enough bolt that it takes a 1/2-inch ratchet to get on. And then sadly enough, even though I do love this thing, and it is my favorite ratchet, there are still things that it cannot do. And that's where we have this. This is another gear wrench tool. This is a 24-inch breaker bar. This is for when stuff's really stuck. I about dropped it and ate it. Okay? This is what you get out when, Gandalf's sitting there screaming, "You shall not pass." You pull this out and Gandalf runs away, okay? And to go with that, obviously we have sockets. Now you're going to notice these aren't your standard moly-chromium sockets. These are impact sockets. Obviously I've got them from, varying sizes, small to large, okay? And these are impact sockets. There's a reason why. I've broken Now granted, there are times you can't use impact sockets because the profile of the circumference of how wide they are around the lip is going to be too thick. You're going to need a thinner walled socket, which is where your chrome vanadium sockets come in that are really good. But I keep these because most of the time when I'm using these, I'm in an open area where there's tons of room to work and I don't need to really worry about profile, and they're a little bit more durable than your standard chrome sockets. And besides, they're impact sockets, which leads me to my next thing. Now granted, I'm not putting my big fancy Snap-on or Matco impact on the truck, so, you know, but this little bitty guy here, this Earthquake XT, little mini air ratchet, you know what, it does good enough. I'm going to end up replacing this, and I'm going to end up getting a Makita 18-volt electric impact, so that way I can be battery operated and I don't have to stretch air hose everywhere. But that's why I have this for when stuff's really tight or I'm trying to get, you know, put a mud flap on real quick, because, you know, there's a big pothole in the parking lot that's deeper than what I thought it was when I was backing my trailer up. You know, the mud flap goes under the tires sometimes. You know, life happens. It is what it is. So, and then for when there's a, you know, as everything goes with how rusty and dirty and nasty and unlubricated everything is that we work on, and how nasty everything is out here, you gotta have a good penetrating oil. For me, I carry PB Blaster. It lubricates, it penetrates, breaks free, rusted, frozen, you know, whatever. I'm not trying to give you a sales pitch. You get the point. I use this to lubricate the slide on my fifth wheel, also, as well as anytime I've got to take anything apart, because everything is always nasty and seized up, and it's better. I would rather spray hose the crap out of this and make a big mess using this than to snap the bolt off, because I'm an idiot and I'm too stubborn to use it. And then we've also got, and this one was given to me by my cousin because I didn't want to put my nice one on the truck, a grease gun. Hand crank grease gun. Yeah, they make pneumatic ones, and the pneumatic ones are nice, but you know what? And I use that Lucas Red and Tacky grease. That's what I got in here right now. And that's what I use to lube up my fifth wheel. So, but anyway, and then for those of you who are wondering, well, how are you running pneumatic tools? Well, years ago, when I first started working on big stuff, my stepdad gave me this, and I honestly thought I would never, ever use this, and I didn't until I got my own truck and started working on it. But I don't think you're going to find this in a store anywhere. I have no idea how he made this, but pop my red air hose off, and I'm sure, you know, y'all look at this, you can figure out how to make one of these. Or they make these wonderful air hoses in the truck stop that every truck driver should have, that has a glad hand on the end of it. It hooks up to the red air line, push the red button in, and boom, now you can air up your tires. Well, same premise with this, except on my air hose, you know, which it's just the standard air hose out of my garage, but I got fittings on the end of it. I can swap out my fittings on the end and also air up my tires. But I wouldn't be running that if I didn't have this. And it's got a valve on it too. So this is kind of one of the handmade tools that just people don't do anymore. But yeah, anytime I got to run my air hose out the back of the trailer, pop that on my red air hose, open it up, boom, power, tools. Air to air up them tires. Come on, y'all. Put some freaking air in your tires. It's the reason you have all these blowouts in the summertime, because you're running your tires under pressure and there ain't enough air in there to keep the daggum rubber cool. You're doing it to yourselves. Stop it. Anyway, and to end all of that, to clean up at the end of it, everybody's got to have some Fast Orange. Stuff will take grease off the... This thing will pull grease out of, God, everything. I love this. I've been using this for years, and I haven't found a better product than Fast Orange. If you're turning wrenches, you need Fast Orange. Don't tell my wife I took the house towels either. But yeah, just put it out. That's it. That's all you need, because I'm all nasty from handling all these tools and junk inside my truck. So, just like the stuff inside the truck stops, y'all. It's awesome. So, anyway, so, for those of you who have your truck or you carry tools on your truck, we're talking bare basic necessities here, not any... Oh, wait a minute. We're not done yet. I got some extra special stuff here for you. Now, these are a little bit more pricey and a little bit out of your way. I almost forgot about these, y'all. I'm sorry. We're not done yet. You know how we all get dirty, nasty trailers in both reefer and dry van? And you gotta spend 20, 30 minutes sweeping them out? No. We got a leaf blower, okay? Makita leaf blower. I use this thing every time I get a trailer, because none of y'all sweep your trailers out and not a single one of you clean them, okay? So I gotta do it. If you get a clean trailer, it's probably for me or somebody like me who has one of these or a broom to clean out the trailer. And last but not least, this one's probably the most overkill thing I have, and this one's just funny. But I also carry a Sawzall. Okay, I got metal blades and I got wood blades. I got a wood blade in it right now because the last time I used this, the last place I picked up and grabbed this empty trailer from down in, God, where was that? Louisiana, Mississippi, something like that. They had these big giant things stuck to the wall. And you know, I'm only 6 foot tall. I can't reach it to pull the things off the wall. But by God, I can cut that 2x4 in half and let that thing fall to the ground and then cut all the chunk off the side. And then once I get that all cleaned up, I can put my pry bars underneath it and pop it off. So, yeah, no, everybody's always said you won't need these. But you know what? I've cut several of them bolt seals with one of these because you know how much they like those. And every once in a while, you just got to cut some stuff, man. I'm a guy. I like tools. It is what it is. Anyway, so, back to what I was saying. Those of you who have a truck currently, or, you know, own your own truck, or you're a company guy and you have tools on your truck, drop down and tell me below what kind of stuff you carry on your truck. I'm curious to see. This is just like the basic stuff that I have. And, you know, if y'all think I'm crazy, tell me about it. But, you know, tell me what kind of tools you'd carry if you don't have them, or if you're working on building that collection. But everybody, get some tools on your truck to help save you that downtime, because time is money, and if them wheels ain't turning, you ain't earning, y'all. I hope this helps, and if you want any of this kind of stuff, I'll drop a link in the description down below. Go find it, put it in your wish list, whatever. Alright, I love y'all. I'll see you around.